This one is on your IC July 2017 assignment, task 1.2. It's a very interesting one. An issue most marketers face. How do you negotiate resources effectively for marketing activities? This becomes a big issue. If you don't have this done properly, you'll end up with either under-resourcing or over-resourcing a marketing activity. Example, just imagine you want to launch a product in the southern part of the country and you have decided exactly what to do. You have set your objectives, your strategies, but now it's very important for you to get your budget right. Now when you say budget, the budget includes not only financial resources but physical resources. Example, the use of vehicles, promotional vehicles, any other material resources like your stalls or your portable, movable branding collateral, as well as human resources, which includes your marketing team, your promotional teams. Sometimes you get your branch resources involved. You also get external outsource agencies involved. So all these resources are important to be negotiated early. Now, I hope you understand the challenge. Marketing activities and resource negotiation. Now, for marketing to get these resources, you've got to negotiate these resource requirements with multiple departments. Example, sales need to provide the sales teams and the promotional teams. Finance needs to approve your budgets. Maybe IT will have to set up some technological support for you. So your cross-functional relationships are critically important. And to have great cross-functional relationships, you got to have clear internal communications. So, in summary, this task requires you to discuss the importance of cross-functional internal communications to help you best negotiate resources with the support of cross-functional relationships. So this link has to be there at the end of this task. So with that in mind, what would be a good start, a possible start to this task? One is you might talk about the current marketing activities with an example and talk about the nature of the resource requirements and any gaps with regard to under-resourcing, over-resourcing with examples. Now when you bring these concepts, you got to bring the right theories, and when you bring in what's happening in the company, or you're talking about a specific marketing activity and a resource situation that happen, you might want to interview somebody in the company and get that information firsthand and indicate the source of where you're getting it from. It's one approach to start the design. The other would be a conceptual approach about cross-functional relationships, internal communications, and the importance of resources. Now you know in your textbook you'll have theories supporting, concepts supporting all of these areas, and plus the wider reading from your Chris Fields book or from your Pelsmaker, you can support this conversation. So you can do the first, the second, or a mix of it, but you got to start this right rather than just jumping into it. Now, with that in mind, it's important for you to analyze specific cross-functional departmental relationships. For example, marketing and finance, or marketing and production, marketing and sales, marketing and IT. So when you look at those specific relationships, you are going to look at the current dependence for budget or resource negotiation with each department. So with regard to marketing and finance, the dependence for negotiation of resources could be cost information, could be the requirement for both departments to involve in a budgeting planning session. So what is the dependency between these two departments? You could also look at the current internal communications happening in both of them. Again, could be the quarterly budget review cycle meeting, could be the annual planning session, could be any specific information shared between the both departments using email or MIS or management information pack. So look at how the internal communication currently happens and the importance of that for the organization. Now, the third thing with regard to two departments are the culture. Now, do you see a cultural difference between both departments? Or is there an organizational cultural factor? Now, for this, you should use some culture theory, for an example, Johnson and Schultz or any other author, and analyze the culture of the organization. Now, when you do that, you might find factors such as rituals and routines in a company, a department. Now, sometimes some departments have very structured rituals and routines. They have very structured meetings, which are very routine. So, which means they have a weekly meeting, a monthly meeting, etc. But on the other hand, another department might have very ad hoc routines, where they only have meetings when there's a requirement or when there's an issue. So sometimes when these rituals and routines don't match between two departments, you might find the internal communication doesn't happen very clearly. Another example, in some departments the power structure should be such that at the boss level there is a lot of power. Or in some departments the power structure could be fairly distributed. Even a brand manager or a brand executive has a fair amount of power to voice their views and opinions. So imagine when there are meetings. Some departments' culture will open up communication which is two-way internally because the power is equally distributed. But some departments' meetings would be totally boss dominated and there won't be a voice of the other employees. So situations like this might create issues with regard to internal communication. And as a result, you might not get your resources discussed, debated and negotiated properly. So you could show such issues and see how, with an example, how under-resourcing happens and over-resourcing could happen. As a result, how it could impact marketing activity. Now you can do this with general examples or you can do it with an example or two from your own company. So we are looking at least maybe 3 such cross-functional relationships to show how the importance of internal communication for better negotiating resources in the case of financial, in the case of other material, as well as finally human resources.